Okay, so today we're going to unravel a short Hindi poem called Clothes that packs a serious punch. On the surface, yeah, it's about what we wear, but just underneath, it's this incredibly sharp critique of society, of power, and, the lies we tell ourselves. Let's get right into it.
Right off the bat, the poem hits you with this stunning paradox. You brought clothes, and everyone became naked. Wait, what? How is that even possible? This line is meant to stop you, right in your tracks, and make you ask what these words really mean.
And that is the central puzzle we are tackling today. How can putting on clothes actually expose a deeper, more profound kind of nakedness? To figure this out, we've got to look at the very fabric of the poem itself. You know, the real power of this poem, and honestly, what makes it a little confusing at first, is how it uses these super simple, everyday words to talk about massive, complex ideas. It's kind of like a knot made of threads you recognize, but it's pulled so tight, you have no idea where to even begin untangling it. Okay, let's start with the big one, clothes, or in the original Hindi, kapde. Now, on one level, it means exactly what you think. Shirts, pants, physical garments. But the poem quickly shows us a much deeper meaning. Clothes here is also talking about all the social rules, right? The labels, the systems of power that we literally wrap around people.
And it's the exact same story with nakedness or nangapan. We're not just talking about being physically bare here. The poem is pointing to something much rawer, the total exposure of our thoughts, our biases, and the moral hypocrisy of a society that calls itself civilized.
And believe me, it gets even deeper. The poet uses the word civilized with heavy irony to actually mean barbaric. And then there are words with really deep social context in India, like khap, which is a kind of traditional and often very rigid community council, and feudal. These words hint at specific kinds of cruelty you might miss without that cultural background. So, okay, we've got all these tangled threads, right? How in the world do we reweave them into a picture that makes sense? Well, we need a tool, a framework for our analysis. You can think of it like a critic's loom, something designed to straighten out all these threads of meaning. And for that, we're going to turn to a method from the literary critic I.A. Richards. This is where I.A. Richards comes in. He gives us this awesome four-part toolkit or four lenses to look through: sense, feeling, tone, and intention. By looking at the poem through each of these, we can systematically break down what the poet is really trying to do. All right, so let's put this framework to work. We're going to look at the poem through each of these lenses, one by one, and see what we uncover. Let's start with the first one. First up, we've got sense. This is the most straightforward part of the puzzle. It's basically the what. What is the poet literally trying to say? What's the logical point they're making? So what's the core sense here? Well, it's that clothes have basically become a social scanner. They're not for warmth or modesty anymore, they're labels we use to instantly categorize people. The poem argues that a person wrapped in clothes is no longer seen as a human. Instead, they're judged as rich or poor, male or female, by their caste, their religion. The whole point is that clothes strip away who you are and just slap a label on you. Okay, next lens. Feeling. This is all about the emotion. What's the poet feeling about all this? And maybe more importantly, what do they want us to feel? This is the how it feels part of the poem. And wow, the emotion here is just raw. It's totally undeniable. The main feeling is pure disgust and anger, and it's aimed squarely at exploitation. The poet uses this incredibly powerful metaphor, saying these social clothes are woven from the blood of labor. I mean, that is a furious condemnation of a system built on suffering. All right, lens number 3 is tone. Now, this is a little different from feeling. Tone is all about the poet's attitude towards us, the reader, and toward the subject. Are they being sarcastic, angry, pleading? It really defines the relationship between the speaker and the listener. And the tone here? Oh, it is sharp. It's accusatory. The poem keeps using the word you. You brought clothes. You discriminate with clothes. See, this isn't some vague observation about the world. It is a direct, in-your-face confrontation. The poet is pointing a finger at the systems of power, at society, and maybe even at us for being part of it. And that brings us to our final lens, intention. This is the big why. Why write this poem in the first place? What's the ultimate goal? What's the end game here? And this right here is the absolute heart of it all. The poet's intention is to force a confession. They say, a person is naked by their thoughts, and then demand to know who will make this confession. The goal is to make us admit that the real obscenity, the real nakedness, isn't a body without clothes. It's the cruelty and hypocrisy hidden in the mind of our society.
So now that we've looked through all four of those lenses, all those confusing threads, they start to come together. They weave this incredibly clear, really powerful tapestry of social critique. So to put it all together, the poem's central argument is that clothes, and all the labels they represent, are really just a tool for society. They're a scanner we use to judge, to measure, and ultimately to discriminate against each other based on wealth, gender, caste, religion, and in doing so, we completely erase the actual, complex human being underneath. And this all leads us to those final, absolutely haunting lines. Who will make this confession, that until your clothes arrived, no one was naked? That is such a profound challenge. The poem is saying that shame, division, that stuff isn't natural. Nope. It was invented. It was forced on us by the very systems that claim to be so civilized.
Which, of course, leaves us with one final big question to think about. This poem is about so much more than fabric. It's about labels, jobs, status symbols, ideologies. So, what are the clothes that you wear and that you see on everyone else every single day?